There is a viral post on Twitter which seems to have upset a lot of liberal-minded folk. The post claims, well, this is the writer for She-Hulk. Looks pretty much how we would expect them to look. And of course, the liberal-minded folk go like, oh, it's 2023, and you're judging people based on their appearance. It is current. Alright. When they say it's current year, it literally means that your ideology didn't do anything to persuade people. Like you had so much censorship on your side, you had so many corporations on your side, you had politicians on your side, and yet you didn't manage to persuade people. Why? Because you haven't even tried talking to people. You're just like preaching. You're being a preacher. And it doesn't work because you don't get feedback from. You're not even interested in the feedback from the peasantry. But anyway, right? So people aren't judging the looks. Okay, like it's not how this person has like the shape of his body or anything like that. No, it's the way they dress, which is a choice. All right, like it's a stylistic choice. The clothing that we wear is how we want to present ourselves to the public, and there is a Slavic proverb which is you get to be met by your attire and you're escorted out based on your wits. In other words, like the first impression that people get from you is how you dress. If you see someone wearing a crucifix around their neck, it highlights the fact that they're religious. And already I can conclude some of that person's worldview based on that simple fact. If you see someone dressed as a nun, you can safely assume that they are Catholic. Right? Just by the attire that they're wearing. Now, of course, it can be possible that the person is cosplaying and it's an Ushikushi succubus trying to subvert your expectations. But it only would take a couple of seconds from talking with that person in order to persuade you that, hey, like this is a different individual, alright, I was wrong. But hey, no foul, no harm, no foul, right? Like you immediately change your mind. What I'm seeing here, right, is that this person chooses to have bright red hair. You get the expensive iPhone in their hand, the complaining. So it leads me to assume that they are part of the social justice mindset. And people who are part of this ideology are far more interested into pushing their ideology into their writing rather than being focused on actual writing skills. Like the perfect way to see people that are part of this ideology in their natural habitat is to go on R-knitting. I'm not kidding. R-knitting is an actual thread, a Reddit forum, which discusses knitting. And it has been co-opted by individuals that have similar attire. Instead of talking about knitting things, like here's something else that I made. This is the brand new sweater that I made. Let's talk about this brand new knitting technique. They will talk about Drumpf, immigration, the social justice, right? Which is nice and fine, but it's not about the subject at hand. It's very difficult to explain to individuals that are part of this ideology on why they are doing is not resonating with the public, but I think I can do it, Imagine you go to listen to a Karl Marx seminar, right? So you're going to this place where you get some of the biggest thinkers, Mr. Moody, you get some Hegel, and you get Karl Marx, and then you look at the comment section, what people think about it, and you see everyone is talking about ice cream. Like no one is really talking about what was discussed at the seminar. Everyone is discussing about ice cream. And when you're complaining, you're like, well, why are you talking about food? Why can't we talk about Karl Marx? And they're like, well, everything is about food. Life is about food. How can you not have food in it? And when you go to the next seminar, instead of talking about Karl Marx, they're talking about the dietary habits of Karl Marx and shit like that. And all of a sudden, you used to enjoy going to this place and hearing about Karl Marx, and now you're only hearing about food and how Karl Marx was eating and what is a healthy diet and what is an unhealthy diet, right? Now you'll stop going there. In the beginning, you're going to complain. You're going to be outraged. It's like, hey, I used to like going to these seminars where we can talk about socialism, but now no one is talking about socialism. It's been entirely subverted. And then other people will call you, well, no, you're just an unhealthy eater. You just don't understand. You're coping with the fact that other people talk about what a healthy diet is, and you don't want to understand that the whole world is about eating and food. Like, this is what life is about. It's kind of like this, but apply it now to the current social issues, to the current social trends, right? Like, you go to watch She-Hulk, and instead you get social justice politics. You're being told about how oppressed she is as a woman, and how better she is than her male counterpart, and right? And people don't want to watch that, which is why you're not getting paid, by the way. Like, if you create something that is actually running at a deficit, if it has, like, very few people that are interested, why are you surprised that you're not getting any money back? And of course, you get, like, leftists on Twitter suggesting that, well, actually, he deserves to be paid. And I'm like, really? Like, some of my tweets probably get more views than some episodes of She-Hulk. Do I not deserve to be paid then? Like, shouldn't I be paid as well? If that's, like, if this person gets to be paid for making a show that very few people watch, shouldn't I get paid if I make a tweet that more people watch? Huh? Like, how is that fair? Why can't I be paid? But yeah, basically, this is what it is. It's sympathy farming, right? Like, this is why the article exists. And this is why they slammed the Disney CEO, because they want sympathy farming. But the problem is, like, if this was R.R. Martin, if this was the writer for The Sopranos, you may actually get sympathy. Like, if it was the writer for Breaking Bad, yeah, sure, because a lot of people were influenced by their writing, and a lot of people resonated, they would agree. It's like, yeah, well, without this person, we wouldn't have Breaking Bad. But without this person, we wouldn't have had She-Hulk. And people have to wonder, it's like, would the world have been a better place or a worse place without She-Hulk? And that's why there is very little sympathy. It's like, well, I'm getting paid only $400. And people are like, okay, well, do another job then. Work at a McDonald's, you may get more. Learn to code. Like, what do you want from me? What do you want from me? Like, I don't make $400. This is a lot of cash. You're flaunting a lot of wealth in my face, but you live in Scat Francisco, and for you, $400 is not a lot. For me, a Romanian, $400 for just putting words on a piece of paper, holy shit. I wish I would have that opportunity. So, maybe that's the solution. If they can step out of the way and I can fill their shoes, then I may actually not only make a more interesting She-Hulk, but I would also not be upset if I'm making only $400. Not to mention, it's actually, this is another thing that I don't want to talk about. If She-Hulk would have been the same level as Breaking Bad, right? So, like, a show that manages to capture the audience and everyone is talking about it, becomes a cultural phenomenon. Even if you were to make $400, you now have it on your resume. Which means that you can now negotiate a salary of $40,000 next time you make a show. Because you're like the writer of She-Hulk. I mean, look what I did in the past, right? So, they know that this is not the case. Like, they know, like, when you say, oh, where did you write? Well, I wrote on She-Hulk. No one is going to care. No one is going to care about the fact that you wrote on She-Hulk. So, you're not going to get more than those $400. If at all, because apparently ChatGPT is also there. And, well, right now it's in the beginning, but who knows where ChatGPT is going to be 5 years from now. Which is why the Writer Guild doesn't like AI. Very interesting, isn't it? Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.